Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Lindsay.
Welcome back to Full Circle Wellness Tools. I'm so excited to be talking with you today.
Thank you. I'm honored as always.
I am incredibly excited to have jumped into your schedule here because I have some burning questions about women's health, feminine health, hormone health, and I know there's a lot going on in your world, so I'm so appreciative of your time. I have a special announcement I want to make at the end about some of what you're up to. But I got some questions leading into, I kind of polled my audience and I wanted to hear what some of the kind of burning topics for women are. And the ones that came up were not actually that surprising when I thought of it, when I saw the frequency. One was UTIs, uterine tract infections, and one woman in particular asked a great question around the difference between, I feel like I know what to do if it's like you wake up in the morning and you know something's changed and you have to go take a bunch of immune support. But what do you do when it seems like something you've been keeping at bay for a while and it's kind of brewing? And is there an approach for that? And then the other one is night sweats. And especially as we kind of move into our 30s and 40s, we have a new relationship to our hormones and they start showing up in a new way. So those were two topics I was hoping we could touch on in this special kind of shift chat.
I love that. Yeah. So, when there's issues like that are chronic UTIs, I used to have chronic yeast infections. Like it was like they would just kind of almost be there and something would happen and it would flare up. So I really understand the chronic piece. And for me, what I found over the years in my experience in working with women is that when there's something chronic, it generally means that the body's trying to communicate something. That we have a tendency to avoid or ignore symptoms until their lives.
Yeah.
And so for me as a practitioner, when there's a chronic, like that question of like, I'm kind of always keeping it at bay, to me, I just get really curious. What's at the root? What's going on in your body? What is she trying to tell you? Because there actually are incredible herbs that you can take for the acute moments. But to me, and I think you and I have talked about this before, to me, I'm more excited about healing than health.
Yeah.
If a woman is like 2 steps forward, feeling better, and then 1 step back, 2 steps forward, that to me is no way to live. And I've lived like that many times. And so in my practice, one of the things that I really get focused on is what's at the root. What can we touch into so that we're not creating a piecemealed Band-Aid protocol for somebody, because that's what most of us end up doing. We read on the internet, we go to our doctor, we ask a friend, we're like, okay, I'm going to try the echinaceas, my immune system, and I'm going to do this, but your body's not responding. You plateau. And so without knowing this woman and everything that's going on in her life, some of the things that I look into in this process that I have is what's going on underneath. Is there heavy metal toxicity? Is there trauma? Is there suppressed emotions? Is there a dormant virus in the body? Is there a vitamin or mineral deficiency? So that once we can pinpoint the one or two things, we then can create the roadmap. And I just want to say, a lot of times UTIs, I've never had a UTI, but in working with my clients, a lot of times it happens after sex, either with somebody you've been with for a long time or with a new partner. And yeah, it could be bacteria, but to me, it's like your most feminine place. All of these issues, UTI, yeast infections, fertility cycle, it's our most feminine space that these symptoms are coming forward. So if we could just take a moment to pause and look deeper into any feminine hurts, woundings, places you're not being seen, places of self-worth, boundary issues, that's a big piece to me.
Yeah. Well, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So much sense.
So I can just share, I can share the protocol that I use as far as for acute. But I would say to answer this woman's question, it seems like we have to do a little further digging as to why this is now a chronic low-level issue.
Got it. Great.
So one of the things I do is, I'm sure most everyone listening, since your community is so educated, is making sure that you're having, the cranberry juice that's unsweetened.
Right.
Making sure, so what I do is 1 glass of water, 1 glass of unsweetened cranberry juice, and alternate every hour throughout the day. Then I also, as far as herbs, uva ursi is an incredible herb mixed with marshmallow and drinking it. So making a tea of those 2 things, they're antiseptic, they're soothing, and the tea will go through so that when you pee, it hopefully works better rather than a tincture. Tinctures are sometimes easier and more convenient, but a tea for UTI is more important. I'm looking at my list here. Echinacea tincture every 4 hours just to boost the immune system. And vitamin C, making sure that you have quality vitamin C.
I've heard this thing about vitamin C, about taking it to really like mega doses, almost to the point where your lower bowels are kind of showing you that you've hit a saturation point. Is that something you recommend, or what's your dosage for vitamin C when you're kind of hitting that acute?
I've heard that too, and I actually have always wondered if that's the truth or not, and I haven't actually looked into it.
Me too.
I take a powdered vitamin C. It's made from Health Force Nutrition. So I'm not, they recommend like a half a teaspoon or something. And if I had a UTI, I would be taking a half a teaspoon every couple hours.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is that there's some sort of infection. Yeah. And so we want to get those white blood cells like, yay, let's go fight, this invader that's come in. And so how can we really support those cells to do that? And then the echinacea does that as well. And the uva ursi and the marshmallow are going to soothe, and also their uva ursi is antiseptic. So we want to get rid of that bacteria.
Yeah, it sounds soothing, just the names.
I know marshmallow. I was like, ooh.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's soft and fluffy and soothing.
Yes. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for that. I think I'll do a little sleuthing too on this vitamin C thing, and I'll get back to you.
Let me know. Let me know, because I've heard that before. It's like if you get to the point of diarrhea, you've gone too far, and it's like, well, I don't know if I want to have diarrhea to know. Yes. But I just think also this conversation of being in communication with our bodies. You and I were just talking about that before, and you were sharing how, like, you get to a point where in your body, this is working, this isn't working. And I think that's a really big piece in healing, is taking a moment, pausing. Is this the right medicine for my body? Yeah. Is this the right dosage for my body? Yes. Because we're all different, and no one knows our bodies better than we do.
And I love that you're framing it as a question. I work on that same level of, well, have you asked? Have you asked, and then created the time to listen to the answer? I love that. So let's talk about these icky, pesky...
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to talk about night sweats, or is that what you...
Yes. Okay. I was going to say, these icky, pesky night sweats where they catch you so off guard and you wake up and you're just drenched. What is this about?
I used, like 2 years ago, I had about 6 months of those. Yeah. And I was like, they're basically like hot flashes.
Yeah.
Right? So it's basically what a woman in menopause is going through. And so usually if you get night sweats, you're going to get them leading up to your bleeding time as the hormone levels are really shifting. So one of the best herbs is black cohosh, which is what we use for hot flashes in menopausal women. And that would be something I would really use for this specific thing. Also, as part of all conversations with women's health issues is what's the level of stress that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Because, we notice a change in our symptoms depending on the level of stress that we're experiencing. Yeah. So the thing about this conversation that's kind of interesting and sometimes challenging is that, I can give you all the herbs or flower essences or embodiment practices or techniques to use, but if we don't change the outer experience of what's actually causing those symptoms, how much better do you get?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got it. So if someone were to begin to work with black cohosh, would they be doing it as a tincture, or how does that work?
I think a tincture of black cohosh is great, and the way that I would do it is 1 teaspoon 3 times a day.
Okay.
I'd probably also mix it with some herbs for the adrenals because, the adrenals are so huge in this, and they need to be re-nourished and rejuvenated, and it's the piece of the stress. So using herbs like nettles or reishi or rhodiola, black cohosh could go well with a lot of other herbs, and usually women have other symptoms besides only the hot flash or the night sweats.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for touching on those 2 questions from the audience. I really appreciate it.
Wow.
And now tell us a little bit about what you have launching right now. You have an incredible flower blossoming and new baby coming into the world. And I know there's a little bit of time for us to still get in on this incredible program, so I would love to hear about it.
Yes. So the program is called Cycles of Wisdom, and it's a 6-week virtual program really meant for women to heal their hormonal and menstrual health issues. And there's a huge spectrum of what that means. So some women are wanting to get pregnant. They're really longing for that. And some women have been dealing with painful cycles for 20 years. Some women have fibroids, endometriosis, UTIs, night sweats, the list goes on and on of what women are experiencing. And the point of this program is to really come back into our bodies and reconnect with this wisdom, this power that pulsates throughout us every day of every month. And most of us are feeling disconnected or not understanding and or suffering really just from symptoms. And the way that I look at hormonal and menstrual health is going to be given in this, going to be sharing herbs for a rheumatic piece. And also we're going to be journeying into our emotional and spiritual health, because that I see that in 99% of my clients that there's enough of this conversation that you don't get to know about going to your doctors.
Yeah.
And even some natural practitioners, people are still only dealing with the symptom.
Yeah.
And so this is a greater conversation of how do we heal our feminine health issues? How do we heal the feminine? How do we heal our past woundings? How do we come back into balance with these cycles of wisdom?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so important, not only from that, acute standpoint, where I think a lot of us, it leads us, it's the impetus for us to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the deeper into the healing journey I get in working with women, both with chronic illness and on the full circle wellness side, the more I realize that to really tap into our full potential as human beings on this earth, we come to a point where we really need to embrace our feminine cycles. And the acute very often are the opportunity to get aware. But really, once you enter in through whatever door you enter, what you'll find is this wisdom around the cycles, to use your language, is a key that unlocks. I'm always talking about shift in the medicine wheel, but it's the key that unlocks so many of those pieces, whether it's taking the next steps on a work project, or whether it's going deeper into opening up in vulnerability in your love relationships or your relationships with your children, healing relationships with mother, sister. All of those pieces of the wheel become unlocked when we start to look at this relationship to ourselves and to our own rhythms and how we're listening and how we're questioning. So I'm super, super excited about your program.
Thank you.
I'm a huge cheerleader of your work, as you know, and I'm so thankful that you were able to wiggle us into this busy time. I'm thrilled to be enjoy sharing this with my audience, and I look forward to talking again soon, Joanne. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, but I have one more thing to say.
Yes, please.
So part of this conversation is that a lot of these things we don't talk about because maybe we feel shame about our bodies not working the way they're meant to, or maybe we just don't think about it. And so some of these, like you said, relationship issues or issues with our moms and our sisters, like some of this stuff is really deep and intimate and vulnerable. And so what I would like to offer your audience is that if they feel called to be a part of this program, I'd like to also gift a woman they love, gift one of their sisters an opportunity to be in this program for free. Because this work feels so important that it's done in the container of sisterhood, and that we take a stand for each other when sometimes we can't do that for ourselves. So if somebody wants to sign up, they can bring a woman with them for free. And I'm really excited about this. And so
it gives me chills to think about as such an incredibly generous offer, because not only then are we bringing forward more people to learn, but we're also bringing some of our context and our story in with us. Someone who knows us, someone who's been a mirror for us. And when we walk those journeys together as sisters, it's just an amplifying factor. Wow. Thank you so much for that incredible offer. I will be sure to post the links below here, but will you also just tell us where we can find the program and where we can learn more?
Yeah, so the program page can be found at joanneameyacohen.com/wisdom.
Great.
And if you're signing up through this conversation, let's have you email support@joanneameyacohen.com so that I know to make sure, to add your friend that you're bringing along.
Amazing. What an incredible gift, not only of your time, but of this offer too, and the work you're doing in the world. And even if you're coming to this interview and it's after the Cycles of Wisdom program has closed for this running of it, please do go to the website, find out when it'll be offered again, hop on Joanne's list. You will learn so much, and there's so much goodness and light and love. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Yeah, take care.
You too. Bye.